welcome to episode 29 of Understable Minds. This guy, me, is Anthony. Round of applause. That's for the show. That's not for me. This guy over here, I guess that guy for the audio people. This guy is Anthony. That guy is AJ, the champ.
Different voice.
Don't know if anyone noticed, but AJ's got a big old belt on.
Huge belt.
The championship. That's solid.
Made of fiberglass.
Solid metal fiberglass. Genuine leather.
Leather, yeah. And then these are real gemstones.
Just before the show, we had a diamond tester, all real.
Yep.
Very real jewelry.
This is the belt for our staff bag tag league. And so I'm the champion of that for this week.
Until further notice, AJ is the Dynamic Discs champion.
Just Dynamic Discs champion.
Right.
I'm not trying to step on any Waisaki toes.
Right, not open.
No.
This is not an open competition. The Dynamic Discs closed champion.
This is,
AJ Risley here for episode 29. Also joining us here in just a matter of moments will be not a closed champion. Very much Portland Open, Beaver State Fling champion, Valerie Mandujano, will be here in just a matter of moments. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk about the Trilogy Challenge.
Oh, cool.
AJ, you played in one this past weekend.
Yes.
As the Dynamic Discs champion.
Correct. Yeah.
You decided to participate in the Trilogy Challenge.
Well, it was like a double dip kind of thing.
Okay.
That Tony Cisco, inventory manager here, he runs the staff leagues and actually just like the town-wide Emporia Sunday leagues. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, this weekend, Keith is running a Trilogy Challenge out at New Life Church. So Saturday and Sunday. Mm-hmm. Sunday, 1 p.m. for our Emporia Bag Tag League and Staff League. He said we're going to combine them. So we're going to play the Staff League round with the Trilogy Challenge discs, just that.
Yep.
And so I
took her down.
Yeah. Well, I took down the staff, got the belt, and that was good. My score there was just good enough for second place in the Trilogy Challenge.
And the Trilogy Challenge winner didn't get a multi-million-dollar belt. So you finished well enough. I think you were aiming, there's gold medal, and then for this competition, silver medal was actually of more value.
Kind of. Yeah, sure. Yes.
Okay. So for the Trilogy Challenge,
it was like I had goals, like a tiered goals. Mm-hmm. And this was the first goal.
Right.
So first goal accomplished.
We talked about priorities a lot last week. Your priority was the tag match rather than Trilogy Challenge.
Right. I just wanted the belt.
Right. And you got it. So the Trilogy Challenge, for those that are not aware, is an event that we put on with Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, and Westside Discs. Each year you will get one disc from each company, and those are the only discs that you can play in the event with. This year there's a Gold Burst Saint from Latitude as the driver. The mid-range is a VIP Ice, yes, right here in front of us, actually, for the video folks, is a VIP Ice Tursus from Westside Discs, and then the putter is a Prime Burst Agent. This is the only way that you can get the Prime Burst Agent. So otherwise, they've only been available in classic plastic. If you are a Prime Burst fan, like this guy.
Oh.
Prime Burst Agents.
Oh. You could, wait. Agents in a new plastic?
New plastic,
wow.
Yes, sir. For more information in regards to running an event, playing in an event, finding one in your area, you can go to trilogychallenge.com. If there's not one in your area, I believe the application to run events is still open. So be sure to do that. You can host one. It makes a great first event, whether you're trying to play an event. It makes a great first experience running an event because a lot of the pre-planning is done for you.
Yeah.
If you are looking to raise funds, I've seen people do this to raise tour funds. I know Keith usually will take the profits from his event and put it back into the course.
Yep.
Whether it's tee pads, mowing, maintenance, upkeep, new holes, anything like that. Or if you're just looking to make a few extra bucks, you can do that as well. All that information can be found on trilogychallenge.com. Events are running, as we said, from now. They've already started.
They've started.
And they end in October. So you do still have some time if you are looking to run one, play in one, both possibly. If you want to do both, you have plenty of time for that. Speaking of time.
It's a fun event. It's not so much about the intense competition. Really it's a way to try out some new discs. And like you said, one from each company. Also, a putter, mid-range, and a driver. That's traditionally been the breakdown there.
I just figured it was a coincidence every year.
Right.
It's like, we did it. We got there, guys. Yeah, no, like you said.
No, not a coincidence.
Much more casual than a typically sanctioned event would be. These are unsanctioned. You can, if you're running it, you can make different rules. You can make it doubles. You can do
CTPs.
Right. Yeah. You can have anything and everything. It's much more casual or more laid back. And if it's a lot lower barrier of entry where there's no stress. There's no, I have to do this because my rating or whatever. Like it's just, everybody's just out there having a good old time.
Right. Yeah. Seriously. It's just try some new discs. Try, let go of your expectations for a day or for a round or so and try these new discs and kind of level the playing field amongst you and your friends. I feel like that's one thing that is really special about these events is everybody, that's automatically you get something to talk about after the round is over, even like during the round. If you feel like it, he's like, hey, he's like, oh, you threw the Tersus on that hole. How did it, what did it fly compared to how you thought it was going to fly? And then, vice versa. You can gather insight from your card mates. You can also, be there to give out, some thoughts and some insight on the discs. And it's just it's a different kind of event. And so I think just like playing different kinds of courses and trying out different kinds of throws, it's good for that part of your mind to engage in some different kind of events from time to time. And so, yeah, I always enjoy these Trilogy challenges.
Yeah, it's hard to go into it with expectations or putting pressure on yourself. Like, I have to shoot this score, I have to do this or that, because for some people, it's the first time they've played the course that it's on. For some people, it's the first time they've played under whatever rules the TD set. And for a lot of people, it's the first time they've used 1, 2, or 3 of the discs that they're using.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of learning. And like you said, maybe you'll figure out a new shot that you didn't know you could throw, or something that you need to throw, or a new disc that you like, or whatever it is. So it's definitely more casual and just fun.
Yeah. And I know that, like, it's kind of reminds me of something that I would do when I was out on tour. I would play these practice rounds trying to learn a course for a tournament with my full set of discs. And then I would go and play, and then maybe sometimes I'd play a practice round with just like 4 or 5 discs on those same courses, or a lot of times traveling, just a fun casual round on a short course with a handful of discs rather than a bag full. Really then makes, less decisions. It's a much easier decision to, it's like, okay, I'm only picking between really 2 discs to throw off the tee, maybe a third if the hole's really short, rather than 10.
Right.
And so that's like a different part of your brain that you're exercising there. And then also you might throw the Saint on a type of shot that's required that you wouldn't exactly think of right away if you had your full bag. So again, it's just a unique style of event that has a lot of benefits.
Yep. So like we said, head to trilogychallenge.com for all that information, everything that you could possibly ever need to know about Trilogy challenges. But it is time. We've got on the line joining us from determined location. Lots of big words there for this guy. We've got Valerie Mandujano. So let's jump over to our call with Val. AJ, are you ready? Are you excited?
I'm ready.
We are joined once again by not 1, not 2, now 3-time Disc Golf Pro Tour event winner, winner of the Portland Open 2 weekends ago. And then she said, that's not enough. Went on to win the Beaver State Fling the next weekend. To the best of my research, that's only happened 4 times in the FPO field. I might be wrong in that. I've only found 4 times where it has happened. But the 4th time, the 4th person to do that is also on the phone with us right now. That's Valerie Mandujano.
Valerie.
She's right there. Hello, Valerie. How are you?
Good. How about you guys?
We're okay.
We're doing, doing great.
We're probably doing the 2nd and 3rd best on the show right now, which normally if I was any crowd, I'm doing 2nd best out of everybody here. Like, that's pretty good. There's just a big gap between 1st best and then us, but that's okay. AJ came in 2nd in an event. I didn't get to play disc golf at all this weekend, so I'm probably doing 3rd best on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I do have the belt.
This is true.
That's fancy.
I really am left out. Val has 2 trophies. AJ has a very real, authentic, legit belt. You can hear it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even touch a disc this weekend.
Oh.
Just wait. Next time you guys both don't play disc golf, I'm winning something. I will challenge a toddler to something, and I'm going to beat him. I'm going to have the biggest belt. I'm going to have 3 trophies. Okay, we're not here to talk about me. We're not here to talk about me. Valerie, where is it? I shouldn't assume, but it doesn't look like you're calling us from your RV. Where is it that you're calling us from?
I am calling you guys from my house back in San Antonio.
Nice. So is this an off week for you?
Yeah, this is an off week for us. I mean, I guess off week as in tournaments, but not really as in like relaxing.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Just saying, you know what? I'm going to go back to normal, regular life. Put the discs up this weekend. 2 wins in a row. That's enough. We'll let somebody else win the match play event. Was that kind of the thought?
I mean, I wanted to play the match play still, but there were just some things that got caught up, and that was like, okay, I need to be home to situate it. More like getting a Jeep so that way we could flat tow. Our dolly broke back in Kansas. And so we were like, okay, we know we need something for this swing. Do we just come back after the preserve and then try to figure something out? Or do we just drop out of match play and figure it out now? And that was the best, idea I think we all came up with.
Mm-hmm. So then when is it that you leave for preserve as the next event? I assume you're playing?
Yes. Either, I think we're leaning on Monday early.
Okay. And you've played that before, right?
I have not.
Really? Okay. Well, we'll get into that here towards the end. But like we were talking about, you won Portland Open. You won your first Disc Golf Pro Tour event this year down in Waco. And then you won again in, where's Blue Lake? Is it in Portland?
Yeah.
Okay. So you won the next one in Portland. In your interview, I think it was after Beaver State, you were talking with Christine, and one of the things that you had mentioned to her was after Champions Cup, you had said that you've started putting in a lot of work on your drive and getting off the tee better. And you kind of attributed that to your recent success. That might have been after Beaver State that you said that, actually, now that I think about it. What has that process been like for you? How does someone that's at your level at the top, how do you say, okay, this is the issue. This is what's holding me back. This is what I need to get better at. And this is how I'm going to do that.
I think it's just breaking my game into pieces and realizing what gets me the most strokes in the course, meaning like what is lacking in my game to get me the least strokes. And that's, the help of me, Alexis, and Mason. Them two are the most honest persons when it comes to my game, which I love. So if I'm lacking something, they're going to pinpoint it and they're going to say like, well, this is what I think. Mason's, the one to help me with it mainly. He'll tell me like, what do you want to do? There's never any like push where it's like, oh, he's making me do this, or, oh, I don't want to be out here. He's making me do this. No, it's always like, well, Val, what do you want to do? And what can I do to help you? So if it was lacking, throwing distance wise, it was like, well, I think you guys just need to gain more distance and, you'll be in contention to win more tournaments. And that was just trying to throw harder. It was just trying to figure out what part of my throw needs to work faster. Or if my timing's off, it's okay, let's slow things back down and let's put things back into gear. And I feel like that's what I did in this last swing with Portland or OTB in Portland. I felt like OTB, my throw was just off. I couldn't hit a single line because I was just trying to throw really hard. And I felt like it just threw my timing off. So in that week break, we kind of just went and did field work and then practiced some random courses and just tried to slow everything down, which I'm happy I did because there was so much rain and I don't feel comfortable running off the tee box. But I felt like, yeah, if there's something that's lacking in my game, I'm going to take a little extra time to work on that part.
In that process, was there ever any we just put out your In the Bag a couple of weeks ago, actually. And that was filmed down at Texas State's. So in the process of working on your distance, was there any evaluation in terms of maybe I want to revisit a certain disc that I didn't throw, or maybe if I throw this and I do throw it a little bit harder, I'll need something a little bit more overstable? Did you cycle or change your bag at all in that process?
I actually did. I think it was leading up to DDO. I really changed my bag just because of the windy conditions. I swapped a lot of my like straight to stable discs for more overstable, meaning like I put more like rives in. I put the Royal Rive, and then I put like, I think the Orbit Rive. Mm-hmm. And one of the Royal Rives, I was bagging, excuse me, Mason beat up. So it flew pretty stable for me, but I got it to go further than what I was expecting. And I lost it actually at OTB, one of my main drivers.
Dang it.
I was pretty sad, but yeah, it is what it is. Luckily, Mason beat up some couple rives, so I had some backups. And so then
during your practice rounds, are you just like, hey, Mason, you hit another tree. Maybe that one's too beat up for you. Can I just have that so you stop hitting trees? Look, help me, help you kind of thing?
Similar. I'll kind of just like listen to what he says when he says, oh, that disc is getting too flippy, or, oh, that's just really flippy for me, or I don't like how that flies. And I kind of just like listen and take a step back. And I'm like, I think that would be perfect in my bag if it's too flippy for you. And then I just want to make sure he's not comfortable with the disc anymore before I take it.
Right.
And say like, well, I want this. And then he's like, yeah, I think it will work here. And then I'll test it out.
I love that. Just kind of the little like, oh man, that's right. And there was this time on hole 11 where you threw it and it just didn't quite fade as much. You should probably take that thing on your bag. Yeah, here, I'll just hold on to it for the rest of the round. You don't need to worry about it. And then, you get to hole 12 and it's like, oh, I need to throw one more. Let me just try this thing. And look, it worked out so well.
For sure.
So how much does, we've seen Mason caddy for you pretty much every time you've been on coverage. How much does the kind of off the course, kind of between events coaching that you guys will do together, does that happen during your rounds as well? Or is it more of like, people always talk about taking yourself out of the round when it's not your time to throw, right? Think about what you're going to have for dinner or anything other than disc golf to kind of bring your stress levels down. What is Mason like as a caddy? Because it seems to work. Whatever he seems to say, it's effective.
I mean, we kind of just make sure we're on the same page. We make sure we see like the same lines with things. I think he caddies, I won't say like my whole game. I wouldn't say that because there was multiple rounds where I played the whole back nine without him. At Portland, for an example, he left, I think, after 9 holes on almost every round because he had to go play. Mm-hmm. And I finished the round solid, or even played better, I think, when he some of the rounds when he wasn't there. So I wouldn't say like, oh, he's the reasons for why I'm playing good. Yeah, he's part of it, but it's not the whole idea. But I think it's more or less when I need him to help me, I'll kind of pinpoint, or I'll ask him for his help. I'll like an example, if there's something in my putting that I'm doing a little awkward and I feel it, but I can't quite pinpoint it, I'll ask him like, hey, can you take a look at my putting? What do you think I'm doing wrong? Mm-hmm. And once he pinpoints it, and once I get a comfortable feel for it, I'll just kind of do it by myself, because I know he can't be there in every round, and he's not going to be my full-time coach just because he's a player himself. And I don't want to put that on him and say, well, hey, you're only going to have 15 minutes to warm up because I need you to be here for my whole round. I don't expect that.
Then just tell him, play better. Just get a later tee time.
Yeah, that's what he told me. But yeah, I mean, I think we have a great relationship when it comes to a caddy and a player's perspective. And I feel like we both understand that we wish we could be there for the entire round, but we just can't. And for an example, there's some things we agree on, some things we don't. So like even in Portland, or not Portland, excuse me, Beaver State, there was a couple of shots where he didn't agree. And I kind of just took a step back because it was making me second guess a little bit. And I was just like, hey, I asked him and I was like, I love that, you know, you have your best judgment for me, but maybe it's just not for me right now. Like if I ask you, then can you put your input into it? But right now I just need you to like back me up on the decisions I make. And he agreed on it. And he was like, yeah, that, you know, I agree. Like, that's the best thing for you. If you just need my help, I'll be here. Whatever I can do, just please let me know.
Yeah, because like if you're looking at a shot, right, and there's a tight gap in the middle and there's an open hyzer line, Mason's going to look at that and see, okay, the hyzer line is easier, go for it. But if you know like your hyzer just has been a little bit off, but your straight shot has been just money all day, then maybe you're going to have more confidence on hitting that smaller gap. And I feel like there's so much that just comes down to what the mentality that you, the player, has. And if you have confidence in the straight shot and you don't have the confidence in the hyzer shot, as illogical as it might be to take the shot that maybe is twice as difficult to execute, if you're more than 2 times as confident in that,
right,
just do that. Just do that. It's a individual sport. Go.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, it's as simple as, why do people throw anhyzers? Or why do people throw, why do people throw anhyzers when a forehand is possible? Why do people throw forehands when an anhyzer is possible? It comes down to person, what is relatively more comfortable and what relatively that one person has more confidence in. So yeah, I mean, it's right. It's all about trying to figure out what those percentages are and playing accordingly, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Does it ever get to a point where, like, I don't know, say Mason's caddying for you? Do you ever just start counting like, all right, Mason, let's see, you won Music City. And then I won Waco, so we're even. Then I won Portland Open. And then last weekend I won Beaver State. So if you could please just shh.
No, not at all. Like, he knows disc golf maybe even better than I do. And that's why I love when he voices his opinion to me, or, you know, he'll point out shots, because he doesn't have to at the end of the day. He can just sit there and tell me like, Val, you do your own thing. I'll do my own thing. You know, I don't need to be here. I don't need to be at his rounds, but I love that we support each other in that way. And that he understands in those moments that I could step up to him and just tell him like, hey, could you just let me do this on my own? And then, you know, if I need your help, you know, he didn't take it to heart where he was like, fine, I don't want to help you and walk off or anything like that.
Right.
I've seen that happen, and I'm so grateful that he's understanding in those ways.
Yeah, I think both of you have such a, I don't know if analytical is the right word, but like both of you, since you're both there kind of doing it together, you both get it. Right. You both understand what it's like to be in that position. You've both won at the highest level. One of you has won 3 times. You know, whatever. Take it for what you will. But you both understand it, and you're both there to help each other. And while you're not where you and Alexis are competing against each other, so to speak, you're in the same division. You and Mason don't have that. And so it's not that you and Alexis would be like, oh, I'm not going to tell her to throw this shot because I know there's OB there or whatever. Like, you're not going to do that, but there's never anything like that. You're just there helping each other get better, improve. And like you had talked about, if you're doing something in your putt, it's really hard to feel what that is, right? Because you can't see yourself doing this thing. But then having someone that has a very similar mindset, and like you said, maybe even more knowledge than yourself there to watch and say, this is what it looks like you're doing. Try this, try that, do this, do that, is hugely valuable. And I think you and Mason both absolutely have that brain to do that.
Well, and all this stuff that you described, it's like what you were saying is neither of you, and really none of you, if you think about the whole RV, you know, like let's put all 3 of them together in one team. You know, it's like there's no disrespect. there's a lot of respect and a lot of mutual respect amongst the three of you, especially that bond of Mason and Valerie is it doesn't matter if one has won, 50 majors and the other has only come in, career best is 50th in a major. I think they see that each other is, each of them is out there with the same goals in mind of progressing and playing to the best of one's ability. Mm-hmm. And so it's just, it comes down to respect and, treating the person, whether they're the caddy or the player, how that person would want to be treated if the roles were reversed. Yeah. And so I think that just speaks to the respect. But what I want to know is, what kind of moments were there on Sunday, during those first 5 holes and then during the back 9? Like, could you break down, because there was a turning point. I think it was on hole 6. There was a 3-stroke swing that was preceded by a 1-stroke swing. It was sandwiched in between 1-stroke swings, that 3-stroke swing. So there was a definite turning point. Did you have your fiance slash caddy slash coach slash chauffeur, was he there for any of the round, or can you break that down for us a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. He was there the whole round. And the reason for it, I asked him, he was like, hey, I'm going to leave at this hole. And I was like, can you just stay for the whole round? Just because of some things that happened in the past with some things. And I won't go into detail on that. And I was just like, I just need you here just in case some things happen. Or if there's a hailstorm, I don't want to just ask some stranger just to caddy for me, just pull them out of the crowd and say, hey, can you just carry this umbrella for me or anything like that?
Yeah.
I enjoy caddying for myself, carrying my old bag, just because it makes me feel comfortable. But in conditions like that, I just need somebody there to hold the umbrella just to make sure my umbrella doesn't fly away, or they're just helping me dry disc. But I asked him to stay that whole round, and going into the round, I knew it was possible to win. I was like 3 strokes. Katrina's, or I believe it was 4 strokes. I was like, Katrina's a very tough player to beat. But in myself, I knew I could chase her down. So going into the round, I would just talk to Mason about every shot. We agreed on a bunch of shots, and up into the 3-stroke swing, my mind was just playing okay, you gotta do some work. You gotta do some work to the course. That's all I kept telling myself. You can't focus on her as much as I wanted to, where I saw her shots and I was like, she could get up and down from here, or she could do this. I quickly told myself, I'm not that player anymore. Don't rely on her to mess up, or don't rely on her shots or her game plan, to unfold or do whatever. I was like, you have to throw the shots. It doesn't matter if she's playing great disc golf or bad disc golf. I still told myself real quick, I was like, let's find a goal and let's stick to it. Let's see what I can shoot at this course. Once again, I know I say this all the time, but it's the way I play the best disc golf is, what can I shoot at this course? That was my mindset. I was like, okay, let's stick to that game plan and let's keep going. Let's save the pars, because I know it was definitely going to be hard to get birdies in that type of conditions. And that was my game plan. When I saw the 3-stroke swing, I didn't rely on it, because I was like, that can easily happen to me in a couple more holes.
Okay.
This course is not easy. I can miss the island. I can do all sorts of things. I was like, so I'm not counting that out of my score. I was like, let's not focus on that. Let's focus on shooting and placing every shot where I need to be. And me and Mason kind of disagreed on that. And I think there was just the point when I pulled him to the side and I just asked him, hey, just comment when I want input, rather than just saying what you think I should do. Just wait until I ask you. I think it wasn't even up until hole 14. That's when I asked him, because there was one of the shots where he was like, just throw this line, you'll be fine. And I was like, yeah, but I feel more comfortable throwing a standstill. And he was like, no, it's too rainy. I think you just throw a run up with this disc. And so I did it. And I was like, okay, you know what? He probably sees something that I can't right now. And so I threw it, and I ended up short. I think I was outside the circle or something. And I was just I was a little annoyed, but then I kind of took a deep breath and I walked up to him and I was like, you know what, Mason? I was like, just please do me a favor. Let me play. So if I win or lose, it's on me. If I lose, I know I did the best that I can, and maybe I can look back and see if I should have made some changes in my throw or in my bag. I was like, just let me do it until I ask you. I was like, if you don't mind. And he completely respected that. He's like, no, I completely respect that. You know, if you feel stronger on this point of your game, I understand, you know, you're not going to be able to tell me right now while you're trying to execute a shot at the same time. And at that point, I knew scores were close, but I don't ever like count the scores or keep them in my mind. There was a couple of times where the sign keeper kept flipping the sign, and I don't think he realized that it was pointed towards us a couple of the times. So I saw the score. And then I was kind of like, okay, let's not think about that. I tried the hardest not to think about it and keep it in my mind. And then I just kind of went into this mindset where I was just like, just get off the tee. Just get off the tee. There was a couple of shots where I couldn't hit the hyzer angle. And people were probably like, why are you throwing that disc that's super flippy? Because I wanted to throw it the right way. I didn't want to just keep throwing it in a bad way. I'm the type of person that I love to be like perfect at things. And I know that's hard to ask for myself, but it's just the way I am. And so I was like, I'm going to fix how I'm throwing this disc, which I did at the last hole, but better late than never.
Yeah.
And then, I didn't get off the tee at the last few holes as well as I would want to, but it is what it is. And I'll keep working on it.
It's funny that you were emphasizing so strongly getting off the tee. Because looking at your stats, you led the field in birdie percentage, in scramble percent, circle 1X putts, and strokes gained in circle 1X. And I think it doesn't show it right here, but I think you actually led the field in strokes gained putting overall. Do you think that that's more of a cause? Like, do you think that that's why you were focused on your putting or your driving, so much, because your putting was so just dialed in? Or is it more just the fact that your putting was so dialed in, you didn't even have to think about that? Like, were you relying on, I know if I put this in the circle, I'll make the putt, or just kind of whatever, just give myself a chance?
I kind of was just relying on what I did in practice, where I wanted to place the shot. And then once I didn't place the shot where I needed to, I was like, okay, well, what's next? Where am I at? Once I knew I was like in the circle or around the circle, I was like, I can make that. Like, that's in my range. That's all I kept telling myself. Because I don't want to get into that panic stage where people are like, oh my God, I'm out to the circle. Like, that's a far putt. That's a 30-footer at least. So I just was telling myself, if I get anywhere near the circle, let's see where I'm at first when I was walking up. And then I was like, okay, if it's anywhere near the circle or in the circle, I have a good chance of making it.
Yeah, there was a few times I was watching the live on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly specific holes or for an example, but it was like you had, I don't know, maybe a 40-footer. And I was like, all right, Val, just lay it up, take your par, take your bogey, whatever. And then you just jammed it, not in my face, but in my face. I'm like, all right, I'll shut up. Like, if that's me, I'm laying it up 100%. Like, it's wet, it's gross. You have whatever, a 3-stroke lead at this time. Like, just lay it up, maybe lose a stroke or, push the hole, whatever, move on. No, I'll just actually make this. Excuse me. All right, cool.
I noticed that as well. I noticed that a lot of your pass rate was very high on a lot of those tester putts. 20 to 40 feet, or maybe 20 to 30 feet. But a lot of those putts, it seemed like just about all of them were going in. And I think then over time, the viewer and the audience started to feel like, okay, well, she's got it. The disc went in the general direction of the basket. So, and she's within putting distance. So yeah, I mean, it was easy to tell from this side that the focus and most of the awareness was on, when it comes to those inconsistencies, it's off the tee. And so, yeah.
So before we get to, we have a couple of questions from our Facebook group for you. Before we get to those, the contrast between your win in Portland, where you led after round 1 and then just never gave it up, versus Beaver State, where I don't think you took the lead until hole 7. The last round. Right? I think it was like hole 6 or 7 of the final round. Yeah. Come from behind on the last day. Is there one of those that you prefer, or do you feel more comfortable in either of those environments? Or a win is a win if you make it, if your putt on 18 is the only time you ever win versus you birdie hole 1 and you never give up that lead?
Honestly, I don't think I'm comfortable in each position. I feel like I said, anything can happen. Like, it doesn't matter what the lead is or anything. I have the mindset is, it's not over until that last putt falls, until, you know, we're all waving at the crowd and saying bye. That's when it's over. So I think either or, yeah, I don't count anybody out of it. I don't prefer either or. Again, I don't even know how I feel about it, to be honest. I'm kind of just like,
it sounds like
I like to win.
Playing golf.
I like to win.
It sounds like your focus is more, I mean, and you alluded to it earlier when you were talking about Katrina. It's like your focus, it's more just inward. And it's, and I think, and I applaud that, because I think that's, you know, it's on a certain level, it's simpler to have that inward facing mentality, you know, because there's so many things that could happen with, you know, you say, well, I know that Katrina's a strong player. Well, but so, you know, Rebecca's a strong player. Owen, you play a putting contest with Owen. She's the strongest player.
There there's nobody that's not a strong player at that point. And
so there's just, and so it's just endlessly complex. So I think for that, you know, on that, you know, quality, that level, it's makes sense to think inward. So yeah, I can understand. And I can understand what you're saying about how either of those positions is uncomfortable, but then, you know, it makes me think, well, what is comfortable? And I think what you've said before is more so a process-based thinking, you know, line of thinking. And then also with this perspective that is focused mainly on the controllables, and those controllables is going to be you and your observations. So, I think that's, you know, for all our listeners here, the ones that are, you know, engaging in more tournament play and are trying to think of the game, you know, a little bit more mentally and philosophically. I think that's, hopefully they can take a couple lessons from you and your performance these past couple weeks. And then just the blessing that we have to be able to pick your brain and hear your insights about this. You've been very eloquent with how you've described all this. And I think it's, not only is it just making your campaign so far this year make so much more sense, and it's really easy to understand how you've succeeded thus far, but it's also very inspirational to those players that are trying to unlock that, you know, that next big thing within themselves. I think you've been a very good example and a very good storyline for those kind of players too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I absolutely agree. Speaking of kind of a role model, someone that people can look up to, we have a couple questions from said people who do look up to you. One of them being Rob. Rob wants to know, how helpful is it practicing with high-level competition? I would assume he's talking about Mason, Alexis, like we talked about earlier. And then he also wants to know, does having a consistent caddy help?
I think as far as high-level players playing, I think it does help to a degree when somebody understands, like I explained it before, what disc golf is and what you can improve on. It does, because if you have that person that's able to break down something that you're doing wrong in your form or your game plan where you're not the strongest, then I do think that point is important. As of like having a caddy that you're familiar with, I think it's huge, because they know the strengths that you have and they know the weaknesses that you have and they know how you are, or just your personality in general. So like if I'm super quiet, it means I'm just focused, and it means Mason's not going to be like, hey, why aren't you talking? Like, are you mad? He understands that I'm just like focused.
Imagine if
rather
that was
than
a stranger
having
saying that to you.
Hey,
I know we just met, but why do you look pissed?
Right.
It's like,
what's wrong?
I'm not pissed. Leave me alone, actually.
I mean, but people that you don't really know, they're not going to know a lot of the way you are, or rather, if you don't like to speak, or if you do, you know, that, and you're also going to want to have to you're going to feel like you're having a chat with them, you're breaking down the disc golf. And I don't know, for me, I love chatting, but not when I'm like competing at the same time. Right. Like I don't want to have to explain to somebody while I'm doing a shot or why I'm doing a shot. Like that's just me. I just feel more comfortable, you know, trying to throw the shot or having Mason, you know, back me up in it. And Alexa's the same way. Like I could easily have her caddy for me and tell me the same thing, because she knows my game and I've practiced with her for years now. So I think it's important having somebody that you're familiar with.
Yeah, it's perfect that you closed talking about Alexis, because Giovanni's question actually kind of goes hand in hand with that. He wants to know, what is one aspect of your game that you learned from growing up on the course with your family that you still use today?
Interesting.
Huh. I think that's good sportsmanship, if that answers that question.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that my mom always taught me. She always told me, always have good sportsmanship. Even if you have a bad day or you're having a bad round, never take it out on the rest of the card. And I think that's huge, just because if roles were in reverse and I was playing fine and somebody else is having a bad day, I wouldn't want them to take it out on me or the whole card. It just sets the tone to the card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like that's huge with my family.
Yeah, it's really interesting thinking about that, because obviously, you don't want people to be out there saying, oh, I played with Valerie and she was terrible, this and that and whatever. But I feel like that would almost have a positive impact on yourself as well, because then you don't let yourself get as worked up or as emotional about, maybe you get a bad kick or your disc rolls OB or whatever. Then you're not letting yourself get as worked up about that. And it's not going to have that impact on your game where 3 holes later, you're thinking about, oh, stupid hole 6 basket, my disc and whatever. Like, you're just not, you just don't let yourself get to that place.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things to unpack there. I mean, it's nice that we were talking about role models, and then this question comes up, and sportsmanship comes up, because it's like this cyclical process, and we have to be, on two sides of a coin. When we're thinking about playing, about what we've learned from those people around us, we've learned what we look up to, what we see as a role model, like what I see as a role model from the people that I grew up with or that I play with now. Mm-hmm. And then I see the ways in which I am their role model. And it could be for the people that I know, and it could be for the people that, the exact opposite. If I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm going to make a first impression on whoever it may be. Mm-hmm. Then the focus is more so, okay, now I'm the role model. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just going to go back to, if I have to be the role model, the way that I'm going to know how to act in that position is by thinking about who are the people that I looked up to as role models, and maybe not even looked up to, but looked across the table from as role models. And so that's, and then that's kind of where, when you think of sportsmanship, it's not so much being a role model for, someone that's younger than you or someone has less experience. When you're being a good sport, you really are just trying to be a role model for someone who's on the same level as you. And so, it's trying to embody that golden rule of treat others the way you wish to be treated. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like give off an attitude and have a competitive, air about yourself that you would want to compete against as well. And that takes a long time to learn. And each of us has to go through, with each experience, we're going to learn something new. And yeah, it gets really complex at times, but
like you said, it takes a long time to learn. Yeah. Some of us more than others. Yep. That's probably what's holding me back. I think I just turn into a giant rage monster, but we'll get there one of these days. Jonathan has the final question from the Facebook group for you, Valerie. Jonathan wants to know, what are some goals that you set at the beginning of the season? And then kind of a follow-up question. He says, have those been met, and are you making new ones along the way?
The first, I guess, big goal was to win 5 tournaments on the tour. And then
more than halfway there.
Yep. And then some recent ones, I guess, are leading into the year was to get fit and to get more into the gym and to eat healthier.
Okay.
And yes.
halfway there, more than halfway there. How is that going? And if it's, that answer could be short or long, but really, I think, how would you measure that you've accomplished that goal, or that you still?
Probably by winning 5 events.
Well, no, but that the next one about like fit and eating healthy, it's like, that's kind of, it's definitely more difficult to accomplish on the road, but how do you measure that? What are your goals, and what are like the little goals along the way?
I guess the little goals works up to the bigger goal. And that's what I look at the most. It's like getting consistent, like getting consistency out of my entire season, which means like just going to the gym on my practice days. That's huge for me. Like setting those little goals. And if I'm able to achieve them, then, it's like, okay, good. Now let's get consistent with them. Meaning now the next week, let's go back to the gym. As in eating healthy, having the RV helps a lot in that part, because I'm able to control what I eat at that standpoint, rather than just Airbnb-ing it. And I don't know what's good or where, like, I don't feel comfortable enough, I guess, because I don't have like my own Tupperware, just an example. Just little things like that makes it harder to eat healthy. Yeah. Or, excuse me, my phone just turned sideways.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, just little things like that. And I mean, just seeing, I guess, little goals as in like keeping track is just how many squats can I do? How many push-ups can I do? I was weaker here last week. Can I get stronger here? Am I going to be more short? Just little goals like that, just leading up to it.
So jumping back to your first one about winning the 5 events, is that just a number, or did you go through the schedule and say, I really like my chances at Waco, I really like my chances at Beaver State, I really like my chances at Portland, and say, these are the 5 events? Like, did you pick specifically, these are the 5 that I want to win, or just, I'm going to throw a number out there and I'm going to try and beat that number?
Last year it was 4. This year it's 5. That's my guess. That's my guess.
Was that it as well?
Not at all. I just picked a number. I picked a number what I felt like what was sustainable. And I was like, that's doable. And I just play every event like I have a chance to win. That's really my mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it, because it's not, like you said, it's very attainable. We're not, go ahead.
Just because if I would like categorize myself into certain tournaments or certain events, I'm just counting myself short. Like, personally, if you would have told me 2 months ago, I would have won Portland Open, one of the bigger courses on tour. I would have kind of second guessed you there. And I would have been like, I'm not the furthest in the field of throwing, so I don't know about that. But that's my point. If I pick an event and I'm just like, can I win this? You kind of leave that doubt in your mind. And then you're just like, well, maybe I can't, just because my game doesn't have this. But it's like, you never know what the future is going to hold. I didn't realize I was going to be working on distance the last few months. So I'm just, where am I going to be, and how can I attack that course the best way?
Yeah, I like that a lot, because it's like you had said, and then kind of the opposite of what you were saying of like, if you go into an event saying, this is one that I had marked down as I want to win this one, and then you don't, now you're leaving that event in a probably worse spot than you would have been otherwise, because you set your expectation at, I need to win this to hit my goal. And now you feel like, okay, the year is already over because I didn't win Texas States.
Whereas and then the stress starts hitting you.
Right. And then even if you do win it, I feel like it would kind of take away from the win a little bit. Maybe not, but because it's like, okay, well, I just did what I'm supposed to do. Right. I told myself I'm supposed to win this, and I did. So rather than it being like I exceeded my expectations, it's kind of like, okay, I met my expectation. Right. If your expectation was just to play, go ahead.
Yeah. So just an example, like if I would say, oh, I need to win Beaver State Fling. Going into the first round, I wasn't leading. I didn't make the lead card until the second round. I could have easily said, well, dang, now I don't have a chance of winning, especially after the second round. I could have been like, well, I'm not going to win this tournament because I'm so far behind. It's so easy to get that mindset. Been there, done that, learned from it. And I felt like the mindset I have right now is the best mindset I've been in a while. Just as competing, I feel like I have a well-balanced, I'm able to look at disc golf in a whole new direction rather than putting the pressure on myself and saying, I need to win this event and that event. I don't even look at events like that anymore. If anything, I get excited and I'm like, I've never been at this course. I've never been at this event. I've never been in this state. Just little things like that help me keep going and wanting to perform too.
Yeah.
I feel like being on the road can get so overwhelming at times where you're just kind of like, well, if I didn't win, 3 tournaments, I could have just been like, well, why am I playing? Like, really, why am I out here trying to compete? It's so easy to get that mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
look out, world.
It's
She's coming off back-to-back wins and just said she's better than she's ever been.
Right.
Different mindset than she's ever had.
So, yeah.
I don't want to go against that.
Well, I mean, I think you need to change your tune then, because Valerie has been going against that the whole year.
Yeah.
And look what's happening.
She's good. That's the differentiating factor here. She's good.
Well, but
I'm this guy.
I know. And again, this is what works for me.
I think there's something to that. I think to be at the level that you're at and to have the goals that you have, and then it's one thing to have those goals, right? But then to achieve those goals and then make new ones and keep pushing. I think you have to have that mindset of like, yeah, like you're talking about where it's, yeah, okay, Katrina is a 2-time world champion. Who knows how many NTs majors she's won? A million. One of the best FPO players we've ever had. And you're like, okay, I'm 4 strokes back and I have 1 round. Nah, I kind of don't really care. I'm just going to play the best I can. And if it's good enough, it's good enough. And if it's not, whatever. Like that's all you can do. You can't be sitting there thinking, oh, hole 1 didn't get a stroke. Hole 2 didn't get a stroke. Hole 3 didn't get a stroke. Or 5 holes in and I haven't made up a single stroke. It's over. Because it's not.
I could. And it's like, it's so easy to play to your competitors. Like, you could end up sitting there saying, oh, well, she just bogeyed and I have this 40-footer. It's okay if I bogey. It's okay if I miss this. Like, it's fine. I'm playing the pace as my player or as the player next to me. I used to think that way and I felt like it just didn't work. Like, I just ended up playing worse golf. And then I took a step back and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm competing against players. That's not the goal of the game. The goal of the game is to see who can play the best game on this track, meaning the course. And that's the way I personally love to play, just because I'm not out here chasing Katrina. I'm not out here chasing any players out here. I'm chasing the best that I can be. I'm chasing my own record in the future.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and you could be doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
And as long as you're able to compartmentalize and know that you have to accomplish all these small goals before you can get to this tackling this big goal. Because I've thought about the same kind of thing before, going out on tour and, not exactly like commanding respect from people that are watching, but just kind of quieting the doubt and the doubt that creeps in. And a lot of times what you have to do is like, I had to tell myself multiple times, it's like, I am not Ricky Wysocki. I am not Paul Macbeth. I am not Eagle McMahon. And that just kind of shut, if you imagine you've got this building with like 50 doors on it and all the doors are open, each time you tell yourself, I am not Ricky Wysocki, you close that door. I am not Paul Macbeth. You close another door. And it's like, at some point it seems like it's going to be demoralizing, but once you have all those doors closed and you've told yourself, okay, this is not what I am. This is not what I am. This is not what I am. Once all those doors are closed, then the only thing you're left to focus on is what's inside the house, and what's inside the house is what you are. And I think, and that's what I got. That's a point that I got to, was like, okay, I've lost to everybody. Now I can focus on myself and how I'm able to actually finish a round of disc golf.
Yeah.
And then you just continue to build, and what you're building is not only are you're not just collecting information, you're building confidence.
Yeah. I feel like that is kind of, people always talk about like, what was one time where you changed one thing and instantly got 50 feet farther on your drives? Like, that doesn't really happen, but that feels kind of like kind of like one of those level up moments where, you know, you're 4 strokes behind Katrina going into the final round of a Pro Tour event. And the thought isn't, I need to make up 4 strokes on Katrina. The thought is, I'm just going to play my best. And then guess what? Katrina has to catch me. Like it's not, it's almost putting that thought into everyone else's head, because now people are going to look and say, oh, geez, I'm 4 strokes behind Val. I got to make up 4 strokes on her, where you're just like, hey, I'm just playing golf, man. I'm just trying to do the best I can. I'm going to throw the shot the best up to my capabilities. And if that's good enough, then it's good enough. And as has been the case the last 2 weeks, it's been good enough.
Yeah.
It has more than been good enough. AJ, do you have any closing questions for Val?
Closing questions. I think, I mean, the rest of the season is going to be, you know, we're pretty much at the halfway point. And,
just about, yeah.
You know, the rest of the season it's like even more valuable. You know, it's more valuable than the first half of the season. I think there's a lot more high pressure situations. And so, you know, you're fortunate to take an off week from this competition, but how are you going to, like, how do you reset and remain fresh for each next opportunity? Is there like a simple answer to that you can give us?
I think it's just being balanced with everything, knowing when I need to take a day off, knowing when I need to push a little harder, knowing, okay, what's the perfect balance into the tour? Like, what's the perfect balance each event? Is that playing 2 rounds a day? Is that smart for my body? You know, next week, am I going to feel it next week rather than this week? I think it's just finding the perfect balance each and every week, each and every event, because they're all different. I can't go into the mindset of, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a day off here, or I'm just going to grind it out. I'm going to play 2 rounds at this course. No, you know, there might be courses that are smaller, like Idlewild, compared to the Preserve, where I can smartly, yes, 1 round is good, rather than pushing myself and trying to play 2 at the Preserve. Idlewild, I may play 2 rounds a day. It just depends week in and week out how I go about every event.
Yeah. I think keyword being balance. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that as you get more comfortable on the road, both this season and then 5-10 years down the road, I feel like that stuff's just going to get easier, right? Because you're going to learn the courses more. You're going to get more in tune with, this is what works for me. This is what I like. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Val, your Fusion X Vandals are out, right? People can get those?
Yes.
People should get those?
You can get those. I think they're good. Just saying.
Seems to work. It seems to work pretty well.
It's becoming one of my main throwers, if not the main thrower in my bag.
Okay. Talk to me about that really quick before we let you go. What sort of shots do you use it for? What can people expect from that disc, etc.?
Straight out the box, I'd say it's fairly straight to stable. After a couple tree hits like me, it'll start to
no, like Mason. Quickly, Mason beats up the
discs.
Oh
yeah, I have him beat him up.
There you go. Yeah.
Then if you put a little more snap into them, I love to hyzer flip. So the Vandal's perfect for my arm speed, at least. I like to throw it on a hyzer, get it to stand up, and then flex back. Or if I need it to go Annie, I'll just throw them flat and let them turn over on themselves. It's my fairway disc. It's my main fairway disc, honestly. And like everyone's seen at Portland and Beaver State, I mainly threw it off the tee. I just felt really comfortable and confident in the disc.
And I feel like that's a disc that you're probably going to lean on more and more as the tour kind of heads back east. We get into more courses like Idlewild, Maple Hill, stuff where you're really having to shape shots, hit gaps, and that sounds like the disc for that.
That and that Gold X Fuse. That shot that you threw on at Glendoveer off the basket. That was amazing.
Yes.
So keep throwing that Vandal, keep throwing that Fuse.
Cool. Val, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to the next time that we have you on the show. Enjoy the rest of your off week. Best of luck to you as you get back out on the road. When you do get back on the road, best of luck to you through the rest of the season as well.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Val. So, seeing as I can't seem to win on the course, I can't seem to win skip ace, we're going to implement a new competition segment on the show so that hopefully I can start winning these. We're going to make some predictions, AJ.
Oh.
AJ, you're going to get gosh.
Real quick, I want to mention, you said something about being a rage monster on the course.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if people understood how much of a joke that is, because Anthony is one of like just the happiest people to play with in general. I couldn't tell if he was pissed. I'm sure you have that, but like I've never been able to tell.
I'll give a story. There's been one time where I've been like walk off the course mad.
Oh.
At a disc golf course. I was playing by myself. It was at Peter Pan. At the time, I think it was hole 10. I think it's still hole 10. 12 is the Peninsula, 11. Yeah, hole 10. It was like when I had first moved here. Hole 10, for people that don't know, it's 190 feet, 200 feet maybe. It was in the straight position.
That's the one to the corner of the park.
No,
just
before that.
after. So it's 2 after the Monkey Island hole. Monkey Island is hole 8. 9 plays alongside it. 10 is like in the corner.
Yeah. It's like 150 feet with the road on the right side.
Yes. Yeah. And there's 2 pin positions, one to the left near the pond, one that's straight and in like a triangle of sidewalk.
Yes.
And I had just played like it wasn't a tournament. I think it was a tag match or something. And we had played where the sidewalk was OB. It was in the straight position. Sidewalk was OB. It was an island hole. No drop zone, make it safe, re-tee. Those were your options.
It's completely reasonable. It's a big island.
Very big island. Yeah, it's super attainable. I took a 16.
Oh, geez.
I was playing by myself, and I couldn't tell you what happened, but there's a straight shot where you can just go straight at it, kind of low ceiling, so you have to throw it a little bit farther than the hole plays, and I would just keep coming up short, coming up short. I'm sure I burned one over into the street. And then there's a sidearm that's like, just take a felon, throw it sidearm high and left, and it's just going to fade back in. I did that 3 times and just got swatted by the same branch every time, and was like, all right, I'm going to finish the hole. Cause like, I'm not going to just quit in the middle of a hole.
Yeah.
But once I finish this hole, I'm going to walk this is as far from the parking lot as you get at Peter Pan. I said, okay, I'm going to finish the hole. When I finish the hole, I'm going to pick up all my discs, going to walk back to the parking lot, literally. And I'm just going to go home. I just am not, and I hadn't been playing bad. I wasn't playing great, but it was just like a normal round. And I just said, you know what? That's it. I am not ruining my day over this stupid hole. Yeah. So that was definitely sarcasm. I try not to rage on the course. I hope that came through. But I'm about to rage on both yo faces in these match play predictions because we've got match play coming up this weekend. There's 3 of us. We have 3 options. We have 3 choices, 3 battles that we're going to be going up against.
The idea is that we're eventually going to carry this over to be a regular thing on the show where we'll pick 2 players. Sorry, I'm kind of quiet. We'll pick 2 players and we'll try and guess which one finishes better, right? So we'll have Ezra Aderhold and Gannon Burr, and we'll pick one of them and decide who's going to finish better. And then we'll keep track of who guesses better. So it's just a fun way to, keep track of things like that.
It's really
I swear.
Please don't.
Dag.
Okay.
Yeah. Really, the real reason for this was just I keep losing when we try and do stuff. And so we're just going to it's a numbers game. The more competitions that we have on the show, the more likely it is that I win something.
Statistically, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Checks out.
Historically speaking, we are laughing in the face of numbers and statistics and odds and all of that stuff. But we're not worried about the past. We're looking towards the future. Should we get into our first matchup?
Let's see. The first matchup we have is Anthony Barella versus Joel Freeman. Let's see who Anthony and AJ picked.
Dang.
Oh.
Both of y'all got Joel Freeman.
Tied.
So basically, why do you hate AB? Why don't you like AB's chances on this course?
Yeah, AJ, tell us in depth, please. Why do you vehemently despise Anthony Barella?
I've seen he just gets red in the face and shaking when he sees Anthony on the screen.
Yeah.
That could not. Well, that's false.
You didn't pick him.
I enjoy Anthony Barella.
Prove it. Switch.
I've enjoyed him for quite some time now.
That's an interesting take on this, is try to get the other person to switch.
Yeah. If we ever tie, just like, nah, dude, you can't clearly look at your pick.
So, okay, we picked Joel because he's been a more consistent player lately. He's been on tour a little bit longer.
Yeah.
In what situation does AB win this? What is it going to take for AB to win, to take this down?
It's going to take some. It's going to. I think it's going to start with the drives.
I was going to say he has to putt well, because AB is a better thrower of the disc than Joel Freeman. Joel Freeman, as we all saw on 14 at Beaver State, the hole he aced,
13.
Okay. Dude can throw the disc, but AB is in the elite of the elite, right? I just saw Top Gun the other week. AB is in the Top Gun. He's the best of the best, right?
He is the Top Gun.
He would go to Top Gun. He might not be Maverick, but he's probably Goose, might be Iceman. He's up there.
I don't conform to all these big studio movie lines and all that.
Yeah. I think you nailed it though, Danny, when you said that Joel Freeman is just a little bit more consistent. Mm-hmm. I think Joel's a little bit more consistent. He finishes near the top a little bit more consistently than AB does. But I bet if these guys play 10 times, AB wins 3 of them. I don't think it's a blowout.
Right. I mean, I was kind of basing this decision off of the circumstances. They're playing in Colorado. Mm-hmm. Joel is from Colorado, so I think he's a much better acclimated.
They're playing at a ton of elevation too.
Yes.
It's 7,740 feet.
It's just under 1.5 miles.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So that takes a certain skill.
It takes getting used to as well.
Yeah.
It's not just, I'll just throw something more understable, because you have to completely, you can't look at a hole and just say, I'll throw this. You have to completely override your gut reaction.
Well, yeah.
You
got to pace yourself on the walk from the basket to the tee pad too.
Right.
Yeah. So, so I just think Joel's a little bit more conditioned, better than AB is for that physical setting. And then also just this kind of gameplay setting itself of shorter matches. When it's one-on-one like that, I kind of feel like Joel has that kind of edge and that kind of quality to him, mm-hmm. more so than Anthony. Anthony, I think, is better at shutting things out, and he excels when he's able to do that. But this is not what that is. So, right. That's why I would give Joel this one.
Okay.
Are you also on Team Joel, Danny?
Yes, I also had Joel for this one. So, and also I put it on the Facebook page to see what the audience thought. They also voted for Joel. 70% of people did.
Hey, I nailed it with my 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. The next one is Jeremy Colling versus Kevin Jones.
Ooh. Dag. Oh my gosh, are we going to be tied for everything?
And y'all both got Kevin Jones.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I like Kevin's chances here. I think he's got probably more power than Jeremy.
Yeah.
But I went with Jeremy on this one because
I was really close.
Because if you know Kevin Jones's game, he tends to do a lot of forgot to shut off the transition. He tends to do a lot of really big hyzer flips. He starts the disc off on a lot of hyzer and throws it very hard, and it will just flip up. And that's how he plays his game. And I think at altitude, where the stability of his discs is going to be not as much, or is not going to be as understable, I think that will hurt Kevin's game more than it'll hurt Big Germ's game, because he can just throw big hyzers with everything, forehand or backhand.
Yeah.
See, now that particular reason is why I would give Kevin the edge. That's why I would give Kevin the edge.
Why is that? Because he likes to throw shots that his discs aren't going to work for it?
Well, I think it's almost the opposite. I think he kind of, rather than going, turning more towards a hyzer flip game, he's going to I think he's going to go towards more of like a lawn dart kind of game. Something that Will Schustrick really pioneered and made.
So he's just going to change his game entirely and somehow beat Germ, who's going to be perfectly comfortable throwing hyzers either way.
Well, see, that's the thing is Kevin is just going to change the discs that he's throwing. He's not, I don't think he's going to be.
He has to change something though.
Yeah.
And Germ has to change less. And I think they're, as far as on paper, they're probably similarly skilled. So, I mean, I just don't see it. I see an argument for Kevin, I guess. He's a little bit on more of a hot streak lately, but I don't see how.
I think what he'll do is he'll just go to simpler shots that are simpler to execute. And so I think that'll give him a little bit more.
What prevents Jeremy from taking those shots?
What prevents him from taking a big spike hyzer?
Yeah, from also doing the big. He is big Germ, so
yeah,
he's got trick shots.
I think you're right. I just think that Kevin has the spike hyzer game down, and he has more of like I think he's just better at distance control, and so. He's not really, I don't know what to call the opposite of like a touch shot or a touch
power,
game.
Aggressive.
Yeah. And so I think that's what he's going to, I see him leaning on that more so than finesse, just like power. Like what can I power? He's going to lean into the fact that there's less air keeping the disc up. So I think he's just going to,
I was initially
stones out there.
I had the exact same thought as Danny of like, okay, Germ is more comfortable throwing. They both kind of throw more understable than you would assume discs. And so I figured because Germ is more comfortable throwing like those touchy hyzer flips, sidearms and things like that, his game would translate better. But I don't know. I think Kevin is good enough to overcome that. And I think because like you were saying, AJ, where he's a little bit more the aggressive player, I think that the elevation change will affect Germ's game more because it is so touchy and there's so much finesse in it that like it's like he's got his discs on a remote control sometimes. And I think that's going to be harder to do than like you were talking about, Danny, where Kevin will just blast something on a hyzer flip. Maybe it won't flip up as much. Whereas like if Germ is trying to throw a touchy putter turnover shot and it flips too much or it doesn't flip enough, I think that Germ's misses will be bigger than Kevin's.
All right.
This was the closest of our three for me, though. I was going back and forth for sure.
The audience also went with Kevin Jones. So maybe there's something that I'm just not seeing, but
how close was the audience?
It was 62%.
I think the putt is gonna.
So here's what I think about the putt. Kevin's miss while putting is low. Yeah, he tends to putt with like a really deep straddle push putt, and a lot of times when he's off, it'll just be low. Mm-hmm. And with the less dense air, that's not going to have as much glide. It's going to be more likely to just miss short.
That's a really good point.
That was my thinking behind that.
Yeah, that tracks. I think this one is going to be close. I think this will be a close match for sure.
I think the less air is going to help Kevin's putt, and not so much of he needs to get it to go up and stay up, but really it's just going to be, if the putt is going to try to fall down straight down to the earth, then what that means is it's going to move. Its lateral movement is going to be less.
And that makes the basket smaller, doesn't it?
Well, no. I think if Kevin's able to recognize, okay, the basket is staying the same, but everything's making my disc and my trajectory, it's throwing that off. Once he wraps his head around that, then I think what will happen is there'll be less variables that are kind of coming into play. So, and things will be simpler. Things will seem simpler for him. And I think that Kevin, once he recognizes that quality and he's able to seek that out, then that's when he excels.
There you
Fair
go.
enough.
You're,
All right.
you're welcome, Kev.
Agree to disagree, but okay.
It's kind of like a grenade. Like,
let's move
why
on
do
to
people
the next
throw
one. The
grenades?
next one is Gannon Burr versus Albert Tan. Let's see what y'all pick.
Dag.
Ooh. We've got a difference.
AJ,
Uh-oh.
explain yourself.
Okay. Yeah, well, I was just thinking about this because I picked it not too long ago.
Did you think this was like also who can bench press the most?
Right.
Because I would like to switch my pick.
Yeah. Let's see. So
For the audio people, AJ picked Albert.
I picked Albert rather than Gannon, and I think the reason why I picked that was more so of like a subjective skill or subjective excellence rather than objective excellence. And so I think this kind of situation is what Albert has a little bit more experience with and what he has learned more from is a situation like this where, you know, he hasn't really, you know, all of these players, they're just kind of thrown into this scenario where they've made the cut and where they're, you know, up in the top 10, or I guess it's top 16. So it's like they're already in like a select group without having done anything.
So how does Albert get an advantage from that?
I think he just has more experiences like that, so it'll be easier for him to
wait.
He's been playing longer, and he's been playing on this top.
I think
He's been playing longer, but Gannon hasn't finished outside the top 10 since Belton.
Sure, and so
He
what I
won a
would
Pro
say
Tour.
is
He went to a playoff in another Pro Tour this year. Or I guess Albert won a Silver Series this year. He won Tallahassee, didn't he?
yes,
So they've both won once.
right.
Gannon went to a playoff in another one at an Elite Series.
I was saying a lot of things because I was in the back of my mind. I was trying to figure out, okay, what's the concluding sentence, and now I have it. It's just that I think Gannon relies a little bit more on momentum than Albert. So that's what I'm saying is that there's no momentum here.
Mm-hmm.
Right away they're having to start from zero.
I think
Sure, but
In a situation that feels like, okay, we've already been battling it out. And so I think I just
but
kind of think that Albert has the edge.
It's hard for me to agree that there's no momentum when one player is coming off 9 straight top 10 finishes.
I think the argument for Albert could be he has a forehand, and I don't think Gannon's throwing forehands right now, and the experience. He's just more mature. He's older. But I picked Gannon because he has shown that, like, he has the maturity. He has the mental game to be able to step up and take it down. Plus, I don't know. I feel like Gannon is going to get more creative on the course, like you were talking about with your argument for Kevin Jones. I feel like Gannon is going to get more creative than Albert. But this one was close too. On the Facebook page, this one was only 60% for Gannon Burr. So we have one that was like more decisive, and then 2 that were kind of
That
a little bit more of a
surprises me.
toss-up.
I do not take this to mean what I'm not saying, because I freaking love Albert, dude. He is the best, one of the nicest people. I am
super nice, yeah.
huge Albert fan. I think if they play 10 times, I think Gannon wins. If they were to play 10 times right now with the hot streak that Gannon's on, I think Gannon wins 8 or 9 of those.
Really?
And that is not to discredit Albert at all. He's coming off of 2 top 6 finishes. Portland, he finished 5th. Beaver State, he finished 6th. But before that was a couple strings of 20ths.
Did he beat Gannon both times?
2.
Or Gannon beat him at Portland?
Let me double check. But yeah, Gannon finished 10th at Beaver State. Let me pull up Portland Open. I know it was obviously inside the top 10. Portland Open was 4th. So Gannon got him in Portland. Albert got him in Estacada.
So regardless, it should be a good match.
I think it will be good. Yeah.
That'll be a good one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Albert,
And-
please don't hurt me.
Albert is one of those guys. I was telling my fiance about this as we were watching the coverage he was on. I was like, Albert looks mostly like a normal proportioned dude, right? Like he looks like a normal guy. He works out a lot, but like he's a normal dude.
Right.
And then you go up to meet him and he's like, I don't know, 6'8" or something. Like
Yeah,
he's
he's got
massive.
Yeah, like he's the number in my head was like 6'5".
Oh yeah, I was exaggerating
Like,
a little bit.
Not by much. Yeah, he is. Yes, you see Albert and it's like, oh, that's a dude. And then like, oh, he's good friends with Emerson Keith. And it's like, that's kind of rude. Really, they're playing the same game right now? And then they both do. And they're both really, really very good at it. Just goes to show that, man, anybody can play disc golf and be good at it.
That is very true.
Except me.
Oh no.
As long as you can rotate, you'll figure it out.
You'll get there. Yeah. All right. So we've got AJ and I agree on the first two, not the last one. Danny, you and I agree on the first and the last, not the middle one.
Mm-hmm.
And you two agreed on the first one and disagreed on the last. Right. Because you said you took Gannon, right, Danny?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
It's going to be
We'll find out. Yeah.
And it'll be fun to kind of pick two players at the next events to see who's going to finish better. I think that'll be really interesting.
Yeah. This one is nice because we've got like the straight up head to head round one, boom, done. Do we want to make a pick who we think's going to win the whole thing?
Yeah. Actually, I was going to
Just for
ask,
fun,
like,
yeah.
can you run down what we'll be watching this weekend? Because I've seen like a couple of the Instagram posts and whatnot, but I still am. Yeah, I'm just kind of. I have less knowledge than more knowledge on this whole thing. So.
It's from my understanding, it's basically bracket style match play. They play 12 holes and you're partnered up against somebody. So if you're partnered against Danny and you shoot 2 down and Danny shoots 1 down, you beat Danny. And if I'm partnered against McCabe and I shoot 5 up and he shoots 6 up, you and I still both win, even though you and Danny shot the better scores. Since I'm not going against Danny beating me by 6 strokes doesn't matter.
Is it not match play?
Okay, whatever.
Well, it's like 1v1.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So instead of strokes, it would be, you win 2 holes, Danny wins 1 or whatever. But yeah, it's, from my understanding is that it's just like straight up partners, start with 16, down to 8, down to 4, down to 2. Somebody wins the whole thing. And FPO has half or no, they do still have 16.
Same, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same thing on the FPO side.
Very cool.
5 rounds,
It's a lot of golf.
up to 12 holes, unless there's a playoff.
That's probably why they reduced it to 12, huh? Because there's so many rounds.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's at such extreme elevation. It's going to be exhausting because it's over 3 days, 17th to the 19th, 17, 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would bet probably 2 rounds day 1, 2 rounds day 2, and a finals day 3 maybe, or maybe they'll have semifinals and finals on the 19th.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it should be exciting. I think I'll say,
Can you run down some names too?
Yeah, I've got it pulled up here if you guys can see.
Yeah.
We've got Gannon and Albert, Ezra versus Kyle Klein, James Conrad and Bradley Williams,
Shot Brad,
Aaron Gossage and Luke Humphreys, Anthony Barella and Joel Freeman, Simon Lizotte and Chandler Fry, Jeremy Coling and Kevin Jones, and Nico LaCastro versus Alden Harris.
That Nico Alden one should be pretty interesting. And then what were you saying? Oh, Aaron and Luke. That's going to be going to be a good one too.
they all should be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I got James for taking this down though.
Conrad,
Just
The
picking
whole thing?
someone. James Conrad, yep.
what about you, AJ?
I kind of, I want to pick Simon. It seems kind of,
Please don't.
Okay.
Well, while you think about it, I'll go ahead and I'll pick Simon as my pick. So now if you can't pick Simon, who would you pick?
Oh, one of those, huh?
Yeah. This is a competition, AJ. We've already tied on 2 of our answers.
Well, yeah, if I can't pick Simon, I mean, I might go with Joel.
Joel Freeman?
It might be time. It might be time for an Elite Series ish win for Joel Freeman. This could be, all the stars aligning for that man.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I mean, I think like you said, the elevation is going to be a big factor.
Isn't Kyle from Colorado as well? No, he's from Michigan.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I hesitated on Simon because of that elevation factor, and because if you're going to go the whole way, that's a lot of golf in those 3 days. And I just don't think that Simon is.
Well, you can't pick Simon because I already did.
As conditioned.
I already picked him. That's fine.
Wow.
Well,
please don't talk about my picks like that.
But see, then the reason why I was on the fence at all was that he's gone back to back at OTB in Portland.
That was a big factor in why I picked him.
I mean, just a exemplary, extraordinary, I guess, display of talent, and both physical and mental. And so I feel like he's surging right now, and so it's and with the week off to rest and recharge and see his offspring,
Simon Jr.
Yeah, Emmett. I think that all those things really help. It's just going to be really interesting to see who crumbles and who remains fresh. That's where I would give Anthony Barella
But you didn't pick him.
I would give him a couple merits because I feel like
But you said you hate him.
I did not say that.
That's what your pick said.
No, the crawl.
You literally picked Joel Freeman, and then we said, who do you think is going to win? And you said Joel Freeman again. So twice now you've said Anthony Barella stands no chance.
That's what I've heard.
That was the quote. I saw it on the ticker earlier. AB has no shot.
What does the ticker say now? Oh.
Hey, that was Anthony Barella that said that. Anthony Barella said that. Yeah, I think all of those are good picks. I just think Simon will beat them. So you guys will see next week on episode 30 that Simon did win. Joel Freeman also won, as did Kevin Jones.
How about the FPO side?
The FPO side, I will.
Careful with this guy.
What? Let me get my pick in real quick.
If you get slightly derailed, then
we got Missy versus Leica, Lisa versus Holly Finley versus Kat Murch, Maria Oliva versus Natalie Ryan, Deanne Carey versus Ella Hansen, Jennifer Allen versus Emily Beach, Sarah Hokum versus Vanessa Van Dyken, and Rebecca Cox versus Owen Scoggins. I'm gonna go first just because that's an advantage. Wow. I'm gonna go with Hokum.
Okay, I'm taking Owen.
Yeah, Owen has been playing really well.
I was between those two. AJ, you've had plenty of time.
You got
to
to be faster, man. Come on.
Right. As much as this is not a race, it's very much a race. And AB's not on this side, so you can't just pick whoever he's playing.
Gosh.
I think AJ said Holland.
Yeah.
Because you said she's going to beat Lisa. And then I guess it doesn't show an actual bracket. Dang it. I was just going to run down the bracket of who she would be playing. And you hate this person. You hate this person. Pretty strongly dislike this person.
The math checks out.
That's what. Yeah. For the listeners at home, AJ is a firecracker off camera. Dude just keeps throwing shade.
It's true.
You're right. Yeah. Sorry. I just want everybody to be nice, cool, and comfortable in the shade.
Right. So here you go. Shots.
Anthony, is it the same song for the outro as for the intro?
Tough.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye. It's not playing. This is awkward. Hang on. Let me try again. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Hey, we found it. Now do we just talk until the song ends?
No, I'll just fade it out.
Is that how we're going to end it?
So we can strike up a lively conversation.
AJ, anybody else that you want to slam before the show ends? Sorry.